Salve Regina, Mater misericordiae, vita dulcedo, estes nostra salve.
The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. As Jesus approached Jericho, a blind man was sitting by the roadside begging, and hearing a crowd going by, he inquired what was happening. They told him, "Jesus of Nazareth is passing by." He shouted, "Jesus, Son of David, have pity on me." The people walked in front of him, rebuked him, telling him to be silent. But he kept calling out all the more, "Son of David, have pity on me." Then Jesus stopped and ordered that he be brought to him. And when he came near, Jesus asked him, "What do you want me to do for you?" He replied, "Lord, please let me see." Jesus told him, "Have sight, your faith has saved you." He immediately received his sight and followed him, glorifying God. And when they saw this, all the people gave praise to God. The Gospel of the Lord.
At one time or another, any Christian will inevitably come to a point where their faith seems to be an obscurity. A cloud of darkness seems to surround them, and it doesn't seem like they can see God. A faith that was once lively now seems blind. This is one possible explanation of the blind man of Bartimaeus, blind man who represents a Christian who has gone from fervor of faith to losing his or her sight. And so this is the time when a person who's found that maybe the joy of faith has turned into desolation and is blinding, and there's a sadness in the soul. This is the time to cry out to Jesus even louder. "Son of David, have pity on me." Perhaps this cloud that obscures the eyesight of faith has to do with sin. That may be the case. Like what St. John refers to in the book of Revelations about the people of Ephesus. You have lost the love you had at first. Realize how far you have fallen and repent. But when we're in the obscurity of guilt and the blindness of feeling shame, I can't go back, he won't love me, he won't take me, that's when we have to cry out even more, "Jesus, Son of David, have pity on me." And he will. The darkness and the blindness needs to be broken by that cry of faith, because there's no sin that Jesus can't forgive. Sometimes that cloud of darkness and obscurity has to do with maybe missing a grace, an unclaimed grace. Missing out on an effort. If I would have reached a little further, and I know God was telling me to do that and I didn't, but it's too late now. A lost opportunity that makes me feel a little bit ashamed and a little bit embarrassed. And I really can't see. But now is the time to cry out, "Jesus, Son of David, have pity on me. I want to see." It's that zeal that reverses the lethargy that made me in a position where I was not claiming a grace that was offered to me. And then you have perhaps the blindness of desolation. It's brought about by the devil. You've been in a good life of faith, and all of a sudden everything seems to be going wrong. There's no consolation, and nothing seems to be right. I feel spiritually disabled and blind. And this is the time to fight back by crying out, Jesus, Son of David, have pity on me. I want to see. In all these opportunities, it's like there's the crowd crying out really loud behind us, saying, don't bother him. You're not good enough. You should be ashamed. All these voices, the voice of the crowd that tried to deny Bartimaeus. The voices of the crowd that make you recall past sins and make you feel unworthy. But in the face of that, you cry out, Jesus, I want to see. The voices that make you feel ashamed. A shame that says, I can't go back to him. That's a lie. And so we cry out, Jesus, Son of David, I want to see. Maybe the voices of anger, the voices of unforgiveness from an issue or a conflict with a person. We're blinded, and so we have to cry out, Jesus, I want to see. And if you cry out, this is the faith that saved blind Bartimaeus. That cry that seemed to be in desperation, that cry that you weren't sure you'd be able to scream out, is finally the first real prayer you've ever made. Jesus, I want to see. And now the light penetrates the soul because Jesus responds, your faith has healed you. You can see.
Regina Celi, letare, alleluia, qui aquae meruisti portare, alleluia, resurrexit sicut dixit, alleluia, ora pro nobis Deum, alleluia.